Okay. So the regular meeting of the Animal Care and Control Advisory Board will now begin. Good evening. Again, I am Danielle Jorger, and I am the Animal Shelter Supervisor for Minneapolis Animal Care and Control. And before we begin, I'd like to note that this meeting includes the remote participation of members as authorized under Minnesota statutes, section 13D.021, due to the declared local health pandemic. I will now call this meeting to order, and we will do the official roll call. That was your practice we did first, guys, to verify the presence of a quorum. So one more time, I'm going to change it up and do it in a whole different order here. Bridget Hansen.
Here.
Savannah Kyle.
Here.
Heather Ellis.
Here.
Matt Kondrachek.
Here.
Adam Bennett.
Here.
Dina McDonald-Watchkey.
Here.
All right, and we have 7 total members, 1 not being here, but that is a quorum, so we can proceed. So we will continue on to our agenda, and I am going to turn it over to MAC Animal Care and Control, and Director Caroline Harefield.
Sorry, I kind of messed up. So let me just start by introducing myself. I'm Caroline Harefield, for those of you who I've never met in person. It's amazing how this virtual stuff is working. I'm the director for Minneapolis Animal Care and Control. And just to give you a little bit of history about myself, wow, everybody lit up the screen. Hello. A little history about me. I've been in animal control, in animal welfare for about 25 years now. And I started my career as a baby because, really I'm only about 30. Anyways, in the city of, or the state of Virginia, where I have a background in law enforcement and a background in animal crimes. I came to Minneapolis in 2014 and was basically recruited to the city by Nuria what's her name? Vandermeide, is that how she pronounced it? Nuria, that everybody loved. Anyways, she didn't work with us that long. But anyways, I was recruited by Nuria to kind of help reshape Minneapolis Animal Control, which was having some struggles. So, and we've been working for 7 years now with several different community groups. CMAC, several of the board members are actually on our board now, as well as some other community groups that have really helped us to change the entire face of this department and how we treat animals and how we enforce codes in the city. And we're still turning that shift. I think we'll always be changing and growing. That's just part of who I am, and my staff have kind of gotten used to me. So I'm going to share my screen with you. And just give me 1 second because I have like 500,000 screens up. Anybody that, let's see, Danny. Oh, there you go. I'm going to share my screen, and then I got to start from the beginning. I'm just going to do a quick, it's not that quick, but an orientation of MAC and who we are. Okay. So MAC has, Mac's.
We're not seeing your screen, Caroline.
Really?
Really?
You still see me? Okay. This is why they don't let me play with technology anymore. Let's see. Let's try it again. I want to share this screen. All right, there you go. You should be able to see it now, right?
Yes.
All right. MAC partners with the community. Are you seeing? Let me switch.
We're seeing your go to presentation view. Go duplicate. Yep.
Where is that?
Display
right
settings. Yep. And hit duplicate slideshow. That's how I like to do it.
Oh.
Right.
All right, well, let's go back. So MAC's mission is to partner with the community to ensure the health and safety of pets and people by promoting and supporting responsible and humane care of animals. We achieve this through humane education, community outreach, animal sheltering, and the responsible enforcement of local and state laws pertaining to the care, control, and protection of animals. I wanted to give you guys a little history of MAC. It's not that old of a department. Animal control services was originally provided by private companies under contract to the city. They had some issues with those private companies, and in 1988, the city of Minneapolis created the Division of Animal Control. In 2001, CARE was added to the division's name. By 2004, MAC moved into its current building that is located at 212 17th Avenue North. So that building is actually quite old. It was very progressive for its time. And even today, by today's standards, MAC's building is really quite a testament to how the city feels about its animals. And in 2004, MAC, I said that right. In 2014, MAC began to offer all breeds for adoption and put into policy that no animal shall be discriminated against based on breed. And I believe Adam Bennett and Matt were a big part of that. I'd like to think I was part of that, but that happened literally the day I started my in this position. In 2015, though, we did overhaul the entire Title IV, which is the code that all ordinances pertaining to animals falls under. And it offered a comprehensive animal care and protection ordinance for the city of Minneapolis. The issue, and some of the laws still remain that were there prior to 2015, but the issue was that a lot of the laws were really, really old and just were not up to snuff and standard of what's needed in today's world. In 2016, the division restructured to better meet the needs of the city. By 2017, we developed our first veterinarian service unit within the division and hired our very first veterinarian that actually worked for the city, and that her name was Camille McArdle. She just retired. In 2018, we purchased our first dental equipment. We have a lot of animals that come through our shelter that have tremendous dental problems, and anybody who owns animals knows how expensive it is to get that taken care of. And a lot of these animals their dental needs were so bad that they weren't being offered for adoptions because we couldn't treat them, and the burden was being placed on rescues to do so. And in the end, it really ultimately cost a lot of animals their lives. And I'll explain that eventually. In 2019, I requested that the board perform a comprehensive review of our program. They made a lot of recommendations and we implemented a ton of them. And they eventually recommended that we reach out to a national organization to do a even more comprehensive review of our program. That was scheduled for 2020, and unfortunately the pandemic hit. And once the pandemic hit, everything came to a grinding halt. Even though that did happen, Max still had a lot of plans, and we launched the Animal Safety Net program in 2020. We really embraced the national platform for human animal support services in the city, and we started turning our ship in a different direction, but a direction that we'd always planned to go, which was to turn the shelter from being basically a warehouse for animals into a pet resource center for the city. In 2021, Best Friends Animal Society did come to MAC in person and perform a comprehensive review of our entire program with an eye on life saving. Danny, did you get my email? I'm hoping.
Yes, I did, and I did send it out to everyone. Some of you, if you haven't checked your email, there is an email that has a copy of that, so we're going to go through that.
Yep, there is a complete copy of that for you to review, and we can go through that. I want to introduce you to our executive leadership team, the Executive Director of Regulatory Services, who I did invite, but at the last minute to this meeting. I know she really wanted to be here. I'm not sure if she's going to make it or not. She may make it later. Her name is Thury Garnett Holucci. Is that how I pronounce it correctly? I don't know. I just call her Thury. She's a wonderful woman, and she is replacing Kim Keller. She is super supportive of MAC. In fact, has one of MAC's animals, and has been instrumental in helping me to protect MAC through the pandemic. You know, there was a huge budget crunch that happened, and MAC is one of the few agencies that really didn't lose a whole lot of positions because of the freezes. So we were very fortunate for that, and Thury was a big part of that. So she is really super supportive of animal control. I am the director, Caroline Harefield. We have a field supervisor by the name of John Kilner. He supervises the day shift, and another field supervisor that supervises the evening shift, and that's Anthony Schendel. They kind of are attached at the hip. They sort of work together, but there are field managers and investigation managers. We have a new animal shelter supervisor who comes to us from, gosh, she has an incredible background. She was an officer at one time. She is a vet tech. She also was our volunteer coordinator and really helped me, was my lightning rod for that after the restructure when I was focusing on other areas. And she has tremendous leadership capabilities and skills. And I was fortunate that she said yes when I offered her the shelter supervisor, and it's Danny Jorger. She's here today. She's sort of my right arm. Currently, the administrative supervisor is the one position that is vacant and is frozen indefinitely until we get some other things sorted out. We have 3 district lead officers, and district leads are field officers that they're not supervisors, but they're sort of like the right arm of their supervisors, and they're there to direct day to day and make sure that our customers are being served properly and that our field is acting professionally in the field. They do all of our training for us. They're very, very important to us. And Jenna Clem, or that was her old name, but Jenna Washi is actually a really incredible investigator. Heather has a background in law, as well as she speaks Spanish, so she's out there helping the officers when we have Spanish-speaking customers. And Jacob Young is a command sergeant in the military and is an extremely good patrol officer, and he brings a very high level of professionalism to our team and has helped us really grow that part of our division. We have 2 veterinarians on staff, Dr. Mary Thury and Dr. Jennifer Asher. Both are very dedicated to shelter medicine. Many of you have probably met Dr. Mary, we call her, but Jennifer Asher is new, but she is a citizen resident. She grew up in Ward 4 and really wanted to get in with Minneapolis Animal Control and get back to shelter medicine so she could give back to her community. I'm super excited to have them both with us. We have 1 veterinarian technician. Her name is Melissa Mathis. She also has officer background, and I can pretty much put her anywhere I want in the shelter. And then we have an animal care technician who's kind of on 2 screens, but she also acts as a veterinarian assistant. She's really, really well skilled. We have, the shelter has 3 full-time animal care technicians and 2 part-time care technicians. They cover cleaning the shelter 7 days a week, basically 2 shifts. So you can imagine how big these guys are, how busy these guys are. We will have a volunteer coordinator position. I've actually requisitioned that, and we should be accepting applications soon for that. And then new for 2022 is a pet case care manager. Some people are calling the animal safety net coordinator. That's a new position. Hopefully that will pass. I don't see how, well, it's in the mayor's budget, but that's a new position, and their job is to coordinate all these different animals that are coming through, that are working through the animal safety net program. We only have 3 people in our administrative team: a business assistant, Ann Thielen, and she's sort of my right arm, and 2 customer service representatives that handle the front counter and all the permitting and licensing and customer questions and setting up our clinics and all the different things. These guys stay very, very busy. And I just wanted to give you a rundown of our teams and what our staffing looks like at MAC. We are a very small organization. And we really do rely heavily on our volunteers and our rescue partners and the community to help us get our work done. And I rely heavily on the passion that my staff have that support our mission every day. Let me just give you a quick purpose and services overview. We serve and protect the public by promoting a safer community through responsible pet ownership and humane care. We protect people and their property against dangerous, vicious, and nuisance animals. That's the old dog catcher everybody thinks about. We provide front line of defense against zoonotic diseases. In fact, in 2020, we had the tularemia. Can you pronounce that for me, Danny? My mouth
Tularemia.
Tularemia. I call it rabbit fever from the south, but that's the disease that's been all over the news lately. Some other city has had it. We had it last year. Our vets were able to recognize it in a cat. We had multiple staff members that were exposed to it and had to take their temperature several times a day. It is a deadly disease, and it can be weaponized. So we actually had to work with Homeland Security, and because they were concerned about terrorism. Anyways, to make a long story short, that's what we do. We protect you against zoonotic diseases, and there's a lot of them out there. We enforce state statute and city ordinances to protect animals that are neglected or cruelly treated. A lot of people don't realize my staff are enforcing and investigating, actually, and even enforcing everything from civil tickets like a rabies, you get a ticket for your dog running loose or whatever, all the way up to felony crimes that make us have to work with the federal task force, like gang task force and stuff. They've been involved in cases all across the country that stemmed out of Minneapolis. We also rescue animals in crisis. We protect and patrol neighborhoods. We manage city animal shelter. We provide veterinarian care for lost and cruelly treated animals. We rehabilitate animals to ensure positive outcomes for all. And we reunite families. Pets are families, and people lose them. And the shelter is a safe place for that pet to be while we look for their families. And hopefully that's the ultimate goal most of the time, is that the animal get reunited with its family. And if we can't reunite them, we locate forever homes for our pets. And of course, we always participate in community events and love to educate. We talked about the 4 units, which is admin, field, veterinarian services, and shelter. Some highlights, going kind of back, but we talked about in 2016, we evaluated our pet adoption fees and practices, and found that there was a 40% increase in the number of animals adoptions, which is attributed to more bully breeds being available, and a decrease in adoption fees. And I'm going to skip some of this, but by 2019, we recognized that even though we did this Minneapolis did a really incredible turnaround by starting to adopt all bully breeds. Prior to that, they kind of had so many days, and either a rescue took them or they were euthanized. And let me tell you, they euthanized a lot of them, and it's a really sad thing. And in order to get city council to agree to allow them to adopt those bully breeds, they had to initiate some pretty rigorous behavioral exams on their animals. And what ended up happening is a lot of those same dogs were then sitting in a holding area for rescue, and the same thing was happening. So the reality is that behavioral exams really don't mean anything. Dogs come into the shelter. That's a very stressful place for them to be, and they react in not always positive ways, and they react in ways that we won't see out in the community. So in 2019, we did away with behavioral exams, and I think that was probably the biggest change that allowed us to do the most important thing that we've done in my entire career and since I've been at MAC, and that was we made it all the way to 90% live release rate, and I'm super proud of that. The last board should be proud of that. It was definitely a credit to their work, and it just shows how when the board and our staff work together, we can make some incredible things happen. We also created the ASN program, which is designed to keep families together. We'll talk more about that. I have some field service highlights. And like I said, they focus on enforcement of state and local laws, protection of animals and people. They proactively engage with residents. I wish we could engage more. Staffing is always an issue with my staff. Time. We try to keep building relationships with the community. I know that MAC typically, sometimes it's not always easy, but usually MAC has a pretty good relationship now with the community, and that's something we've worked really, really hard to change. We haven't always had a good relationship with the community. Some of it was probably deserved, and I think that we've done a pretty good job of building trust and kind of turning that issue around. We still have a ways to go, but we're getting there. 2019 to present, field services transitioned itself to include proactively working with the community to solve resource issues that disproportionately impacted the BIPOC community and led to the removal of pets from loving homes. They work closely with the shelter and the community and private citizens to ensure that laws are enforced for the right reasons and not just because we can. So, for example, There was a time, if you didn't groom your pet because maybe you were elderly and shut in and your pet became matted, you could have had that pet removed from you, seized, and you could have been charged with cruelty in the state of Minnesota. When in reality, that pet's in a loving home, but you're somebody who has a resource issue. Now, matter of fact, one of the officers that's in this photo, Sierra, there was one case where she came to us because the ASN program, they know they can now think out of the box, recognize this wasn't a woman that wanted to commit an act of cruelty, but the animal did need help, and so did she. And we were able to get the animal transported, groomed, and transported back to this elderly woman who was shut in because of COVID. So that's an example of how the animal safety net is helping people and helping officers so that we can focus on the real criminals, not the ones that just have a small resource issue. Some of our veterinarian highlights. Like I said, we started doing dentals. That's a big deal. We can now do eye inoculations. We can remove legs if we need to. We still have some limitations, but we are moving quickly forward. One of our veterinarians is getting ready to go into training for more extensive dental treatment, the kind that when you're removing teeth that may cause, like the bones are brittle and the jaws are disintegrating, so that we can actually take care of those cases in-house as well. My belief is that no animal should ever go without at MAC, and certainly should never suffer at MAC. We are the government, and we are charged with enforcing these codes, and we should hold ourselves to a much higher standard than the standard we hold our residents under. So I was talking just a little bit ago. In 2016, the shelter housed around 4,000 animals with about an 82% live release rate. By 2020, MAC was well above the threshold of no kill with 90% or higher live release rate of all dogs and cats. And we maintained that through COVID, which is pretty amazing. We remain committed to ensuring that no animal is killed in the city, and only animals that are truly untreatable or unmanageable are humanely euthanized. That's what humane euthanasia is about. If you're putting an animal down because of space, you're killing that animal. True euthanasia is when an animal cannot be treated anymore and his life is terminal. MAC is continuing to transition its shelter from a shelter that was a warehouse of animals to a community resource center. Danny, your thing is confusing me. In 2021, MAC launched the new data portal. It just got launched. It's a soft launch, so a lot of people may not know about that. We're going to have Nick come in, and he's here today, and talk about this. But it's updated, I believe, every hour, and it's an example of our commitment to full transparency with all of our data. We believe that the best way to build trust is to show trust. When I first started, they didn't trust anybody with their data. We just kept it really close to us. And by doing that, the people that were doing that thought they were protecting us from people who would get upset because we did kill animals. But the reality is when you hide things, people fill in those gaps. And the best thing that we can do to make ourselves better and to make our department better is to just show people what's really in there. So Nick, in just a minute, I'll give this to you. Some of the barriers that we have right now is just promoting in MAC in the community, connecting to the community outreach. How can we better serve? Fundraising, volunteer program and ASN program is always a bottleneck. A lot of work there. And we have a staffing deficiency. The advisory board was first founded in 2008 to help MAC to engage the community and assist us with policy and community outreach. And here's some of our expectations of the board. We expect ethics must be completed online by, you can tell I used an old thing, but anyways, how do I get back, Danny? Hold on.
Should be able to hit a back arrow.
All right. Can they still go here? I didn't catch that. I think so.
For the ethics training?
Yeah.
I think everyone but one has already all done that, and I sent them the
Okay.
links for that.
We do ask that the board members keep what they hear in these board meetings confidential, because sometimes you're going to hear about things that are truly confidential, about criminal cases, that kind of stuff, and sometimes they're sensitive. Participation, we do expect you to attend all the quarterly meetings and may only miss 2 meetings in any calendar year. You will set up different meetings at different times to work on projects that the board sees fit to whatever they want to do. Ambassador for MAC, assist in publicly promoting and educating the community about what, why, and who MAC is. Respect, we all come from different places and have different ideas on animal welfare issues. Be open, honest, and be respectful of our differences. Social media, the city communications department has strict policies regarding how, when, and why the media outlets are utilized. All public relations must be vetted by communications before it can be published. So just remember that. They really are strict about that. Again, what does the board do? It develops policies and program ideas. We love having research about best practices and new policies or programs, and we serve on subcommittees to help develop new policies and procedures or programs. We encourage responsible pet ownership in our communities, and we start by obeying the laws yourself. Vaccinate, sterilize, and license your pet, please, and encouraging your friends and colleagues to do the same. Serving as partners to implement ordinances and programs and conduct outreach and public education, fundraising, special events, develop and implement new programs and projects, attend special events at MAC, and provide networks to keep MAC abreast of relevant animal issues and new ideas. And here are and you can see we have some vacancies. So if you have any really good ideas about people that would be great on this board, please send them our way. But here's your board members, and they also all their emails as well, so that you have them. Any questions? That was a lot.
But you did it. I do have to say I kind of messed up. I forgot we were supposed to adopt the agenda and accept previous minutes. So I cannot ask for a motion to adopt the agenda, but those of you that have an oath turned in to me, one of you can ask for the agenda to be adopted and someone can second it for me. Heather, go ahead.
I move to have the agenda adopted.
I'll second.
Thank you. And then other piece is there is from our last prior term, do we have members that will move to accept the minutes from our last meeting of the previous term and someone to second?
I so move.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. I see Heather too. Perfect. All right. So now I'm just guessing we're going to turn it over to Nick to talk about our dashboard.
Yep. I'm turning it over to Nick Brambillo, and he is our data analyst that works very closely with MAC and has really done a lot of work to help us develop this dashboard that will be interactive that the community can utilize. Nick, do you want to share your screen, or do you want me to kind of go as you tell me to go?
Yeah, I think I'll share my screen.
Oh,
but
perfect.
Yeah, definitely jump in to clarify or Danny to anything I'm messing up. But no, yeah, thank you so much to Caroline and Danny and this board for letting me come to your meeting today. Yeah, I'm going to share my screen on this the animal control dashboard that we've been working on. So I think Caroline mentioned, and I'll put the link in the chat too, but this is a public dashboard. It's in currently the soft launch phase. What that means, it is public, but we haven't displayed it on our website yet or sent the link out broadly. So we do ask for your input though, since it is in the soft launch phase. So if after the meeting, if you go through it, or during the meeting, if you have any comments, questions, things that we could add, things that don't make sense, please let me know and the team know, and I'll put my email in the chat too after I'm done presenting. So then then when we do the full launch, we can make those improvements and things of that nature to make it again more transparent and everything like that. And just echoing what Caroline says, we want to be transparent with our data. And, we also do recognize that animals aren't data, they're real living things that we love and care for. So, but just knowing that this data helps us tell our story and connect with the community. So that's what we wanted to say here. So here's the introduction page for the Minneapolis Animal Parent control dashboard here. So, we have
Can
some
you blow that
sections
up,
here.
Nick, so it's the whole page?
Is this, can people see this? Zoom in
Or
a
is that
bit.
out? Okay, never mind. Sorry.
Is this a little better? What's happening? Does this look better?
That's better.
That looks good.
Well, maybe I do a little more.
Better.
125. Let's try that. Hey, that looks pretty good. Okay. So this dashboard, there's two ways to navigate through it. You can use these yellow buttons on the bottom here, but then also the tabs at the top also get you to what you're looking for. So it has 8 different tabs on 8 different sections of data that people have been interested in, or things that we think are important work that we do. Again, Caroline I think went through 25 different things that MAC does. So obviously this doesn't have everything that MAC does, and doesn't incorporate all the important work we do. But this is definitely a start, and it's a great way to again get some of that data out there to show some of the great work we've done. So Caroline mentioned I'll go to live release rate. So live release rate is something that we're super proud of at MAC. So here you can see the data of cats and dogs, and throughout since 2014, in 2020 and 2021, achieving no kill rates in 2020, and then sustaining it throughout 2021 here has been a great achievement here. Typically for these dashboards, if you haven't used them before, there's a couple interactive things you can do. Typically, if you hover over a data point, it gives you a little more information about what you're looking at here. And then on the right, there's typically filters, so you can, see if you want to filter down to just dogs, you can do that, and the numbers change. Some intake type is humane euthanasia requested, so that's a service we provide. If people can't afford the euthanasia, we can take them in. We don't euthanize them all, to my knowledge, right, if it doesn't need euthanasia, but I think that typically is the case. So then, you can filter those out, and then the numbers go up a bit more, and things like that. So that's typically how these dashboards work. And then, to scroll to different pages, you can hit the back to intro page button, and you'll go back to the intro, or again at the tabs at the top here. So that was live release rate. And I think Caroline mentioned, the data refreshes daily to get yesterday's data in for the most part. So it's like 1 or 2 days behind. So the data that refreshed today, should have yesterday's information. I don't even know what day it is today. What is it? The 14th. So yesterday we should have, the 13th or the 12th data there. So that comes into play with this animals outcome dashboard. So this one, the zooming messed it up a bit, but let's zoom out a bit here and then refresh. Well, it's looking a little funny now. It was looking great this morning when I was prepping for this, but let me try to refresh one more. Animal outcomes. Here it is. This is looking better. I know it's a little smaller now, but so this is a table of showing all animals that by intake date that have an outcome in MAC, and showing that the animal result. So this shows the breadth of work of the animals that come into the MAC, and what happens to them. Again, like Caroline's saying, we're not hiding things. We are being open with our data. Obviously, this doesn't tell the full story of everything that happened to the animal in the shelter and everything. You can see 10/12. Was that Monday or Tuesday? That was a big, it's like a dead animal pickup day. So some wild animals that needed disposal were disposed of. So that is big part of the job that MAC does, and it does help provide service to the community there. But if you, again, on the right, you can filter down to dogs. You can use the time filter to go to a certain date. A lot of the times we get a data request for someone who has the animal ID number. Maybe they dropped off a stray dog and wanted to know what the final result was. Currently the process is that I have to go through the clerk's office and submit an official data request. But now with the dashboard being public, people can look it up on their own and see what the results of the animals were. So, looking at dogs here, it looks like in the past couple of years, a lot of them are returned to owners. I believe that's in another view, but MAC has a higher than average return to owner rate for dogs nationwide. And then the second largest one is adoptions there, and then transfers after that. So yeah, a lot of good information here. And then also what we have at the bottom of the page is if you want more information, we give you the link. And if you click this button, you'll go to our data request portal through the city's website. So you can ask for more specific information if you need more information on the animals on this screen. So I'm going to go back to intro. I'm going to keep flying and maybe zoom back in here. People can stop me if they have any questions or anything like that. Shelter pathways is another, is a different way to display the animals that we see and then where they are going. So the bubbles here are the types of animals, and then again, if you hover over, you can get the exact counts. And then where they go is, the results of those animals. So a different way to display the information, a little more, visual than the straight table. What's cool here is if you click cat, for example, it filters down all the other views, so you can see the percentage of cats that were adopted and transferred, returned to owner, humane euthanasia, and other there. So yeah, so I think zooming in, Tableau doesn't like it, so it's losing some of the words here, but there's the back to the intro page and more information on how to find lost dog. And then we also have the stray dog success story here. Higher, 43% are adopted, or not adopted, that's cat. So, return to owner, and then learning more about pet adoption here too. So, yeah. Similar view is the animal intake view. So this is where, again, you can see the animals that are coming in and then why they were brought to MAC. So, 42% being strays, 25% surrenders, 17% wild, 17% the other category, which is a variety of reasons, including, police drop-offs and other. I'm trying to think of other ones right now, but there's other buckets that don't fit into the main categories there. Again, similarly, you can click the buttons or the bubbles, and then it filters them out. Apparently, it destroys all the text though, which is odd. I think that's just the zoomed in quirk there. So, but then there's also the filters at the top. If you're just interested in 2021, you can filter down to 2021. If you're just interested in strays, you can filter down into strays. Or if you're interested in adopted ones or things like that, it just keeps filtering down throughout that process. And then we'll have some information about a typical intake process of a MAC animal. So again, not every situation is covered under this flowchart here, but it gives some information there. And then if you hover over the graphic there, it should pop up a display. So this one has a map of all the stray dog calls in the city for 2021. And all this information updates as well. So it gives a little more, insight about how, to the public about how animals typically come to MAC. Then we have a link to our stray dog page that, hyperlinks out there. So if you lost your pet, it gives you some information there. And then again, back to intro page, you can do that. So we have a few more pages here. So community partners. So these are some bar charts on our foster animals in 2020 and 2021. I think we've really went ahead with our foster program the past couple years and have made inroads in that. So a good way to get animals out of the shelter, but still in our care and still in the treatment of animal control, while also getting out of the shelter and getting ready for their forever homes. We also work with a lot of, I think Caroline mentioned, over 80 rescue agencies. Well, that's a large part of our work with rescues is working with placing animals into those. So yeah, pretty high numbers again. 2021 it looks like is on track to beat 2020 for types of our total transfers to rescue organizations. And then again, similarly, we like to have a link to our website here so you can learn more about the great rescue groups that we work with. So if someone's interested in Kitty Revolution, for example, or Akita Rescue, they can find some information there. Animal wellness. So this highlights some of the great medical work that our staff does in the community. So as Caroline mentioned, we've been doing public clinics for people, for animals in Minneapolis, cats and dogs, to get vaccinations. So these appointments are a great opportunity for us to provide to the community, especially right now with I've seen in the news and have dealt with it personally, is takes over a month sometimes to get a vet appointment, which is tough if you need to get a vaccine updated and everything like that. So it's a good opportunity to provide that service to people at a low cost as well. And then it's also a good touch point for them to get licensed in the city if they're not currently licensed. And then obviously all the shelter animals, we do thousands of vaccinations a year to make sure that the animals that are coming into the shelter are up to date with their vaccinations. This data on this page doesn't update automatically, so it is updated as of July. Spays and neuters are also important. Having the vet staff on staff now so we can do that in-house. So we provide over hundreds of spays and neuters to the animals coming to the shelter a year. Obviously, there was a dip of intakes in 2020 because of the COVID pandemic, for sure. And then we have a link to the page where you can sign up for the online request for the vaccination appointment there. So good touch point there. And then I don't have to go back to the intro page. The last page there's two more pages. So this is public health and safety. So this offers a great view of some of the activities our field staff do. So this is a map of all the activities in 2021. So it's a huge color blast right now. But some of the largest calls that they work on. Again, if you hover over here, you can sort of see what's been happening. Is dead animal reported, holds, investigations, wild animals, declared animal checkups, animals at large, bites, barking incidents, assists. And then what's cool about this page is if you're interested in one of the specific categories that we have here, you can click that there. So if you're interested in leashing violations, you can see where leashing violations and warnings have taken place in the city in 2021 and see it compared to 2020 as well. So it's a good way for people to understand, the importance of leashing and where leashings, violations and warnings are occurring. So it's a good spread across the city, actually. Not it's a good thing, but it shows that we are enforcing across the city on leashing violations. And then you can zoom in and get some more information on the map, what ward and neighborhood it is and things of that nature. And I'm not going to go through all these, but you can, animal bites, again, is another important safety thing that our staff do. So again, bites are throughout the city, and they're unfortunate, but it's great that we have the officers there who are able to enforce on them, make sure that the compliance on the next procedures are going forward as well if they're declared dangerous or potentially dangerous or what have you, and things like that. So again, it's good information to see that the public, we're not just a shelter, we do a lot with the public health and safety too. And then, yes, this has a link to 311, so you can call 311 or to report some issues that you're having. Non-emergency issues and animal complaints can be reported to 311. Last page is a glossary of terms. So this is something that we added. It's a hyperlink to humaneanimalsupportservices.com, and it just, we're in the animal care field, and I don't know it all. I'm a data analyst for a few other departments as well, so this is a good place where you can get some more information on some of the terms that we use on what adoptions are and find a foster care, things of that nature. So that's a link that we have there. So we expect this. So I'm talking a lot here. I'm gonna zoom out. Okay, what should I do? Zoom out here. Okay, so now it looks more normal here. I'm gonna put the link in the chat. I'm gonna put my email in the chat. So feel free to share it around to stakeholders or interested people. Probably don't post it on Facebook or Twitter or anything yet because we're still in the soft launch phase. But definitely we want to hear from you all and other stakeholders on what is important to share and how we can improve this dashboard. So that is my my data presentation here. Yeah, any comments or questions or concerns right now?
I just want to speak up and thank you, Nick. This is our way of telling our story as well. And so if you have any suggestions on how we can better tell our story, because we're a complicated machine at MAC, we do a lot of stuff. And so, and stuff that the community has just no idea, some of the craziness that we have to deal with. So I want to be able to tell our story, our full story. It's not just about picking up the stray dog or dealing with the dangerous dog. There's a lot to our work. And I want to make sure that through our data, we can tell that story to our community. I think they deserve to know the truth. And what's happening? Everybody's getting booted out, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I'm getting them back in as soon as I can.
Okay. So I want to make sure that we're telling our story, and this is your story too. So, please provide us any advice, guidance, comments. Nick has a thick skin. He deals with me, so.
Nick, you did a great job with that
Yeah, he's
presentation.
phenomenal. I just love this guy.
Yeah, the whole
Yes.
thing, people are going to love being able to access it in real time like that. It's so valuable. It's a lot of stuff that, like, I as a board member have, I also request, and it's cool to just see it be available to everybody. I would say potentially for the where I love that you can search by animal ID and it shows like the animals inside. You might want to filter out like initially if you just have it as like dogs, cats, and like companion animals, because if you go in there and you're seeing like disposal, like that looks like they don't understand that those are already dead animals coming into the shelter,
Yeah. Yep.
so that just looks like a little bit, but that's just a visual thing. The whole thing is awesome. Nice job.
Yeah, thanks so much. I know we were going back and forth if we should
Maybe
keep
it's a
those
name.
disposal requests in there. What we can do is pre-filter them out so that someone could always select on it if
Check
they're
it.
interested in
Yeah.
it. Then it just won't be the first thing you see, because it does.
Yep.
Some days it does look like opossums, or whatever, and squirrels.
Yeah. But I
Squirrels
do
is
think
right
it's an
now,
important
right?
part of our story, though, because we handle a lot of animals, more than just dogs and cats.
I think that, yeah, if maybe just a different word than disposal.
Or like you could put like dead on arrival or something. I don't know,
Yeah,
like
dead on arrival.
whatever terminology, but yeah, disposal, it just sounds like trash, which is, I mean, obviously not what they are, but. The other thing on the bites, is there a way to filter out so you can see dog bites, cat bites, wild animal bites? Because it looks like almost on everything else you can kind of filter by species, but I didn't see that possibility on the bites section, or maybe I missed it.
Yeah, that's a great. I see the comment there. That's funny about raccoons. They like trash. Yeah, we can add that filter in. I think we have exposures, sort of highlighted out of there, which is not the most, I didn't know what they were before coming to MAC, but so exposures are more like, the bats and other, being exposed to those type of wild animals. I think most of the bites are dogs, but definitely we can add a filter in that.
Cool. I think people are going to freak out. This is amazing. So I don't know of very many other animal control shelters that have that kind of instant data available. So people are going to be really excited.
Yeah, thanks so much. I'm excited, and it's been great working with the MAC team on working together and collaborating, and with communications as well to get this dashboard going. So yeah, definitely, we're excited. Share the link to your friends and other colleagues there. I think, yeah, we'd love to improve it even better.
Hey, Nick, I do have one question. I should know this, but when you bite incident, do you have animal to animal incidents, or is it just animal to human?
I think
Or is
those are animal
Is it in
to animal and animal to human bites. So we don't separate those out on that view currently, but we can.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yep.
And one thing that we haven't been able to do, and that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and the chameleon control group is kind of working on it, I think, is I cannot pull the data out of chameleon that says, was this animal neutered or spayed at the time of the bite? Because if the animal was declared ever, if he was ever declared by me anyways, they are mandated to sterilize those animals. And once that information changes in our database, it changes forever. I can't go back. So we haven't figured out how to, because that's a scientific data point that I really would like to track. And that's something that I think this will lead to that, though. Eventually we'll be able to do it. We just aren't able to do that yet. And we're really using this data to drive how we do our work, which is, it's been enlightening. It's been a wonderful experience because we couldn't always do that. Mac had really bad data. So thanks to Nick, and Danny's on that team too. They have cleaned this data up and it is crisp. Right,
This
Nick?
is night and day. Yeah.
I know. It was amazing. It was terrible do you remember those days? So yeah, thank you, Nick. You're just wonderful. I keep telling him that it's going to go to his head, but I do every day.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks so much. It's so dark here. It's like I need to turn more lights on. I don't have Teams at night.
Okay, Danny.
All right. Well, if our orientation intro / dashboard piece is finished, I don't know. One thing we did not put on there, Caroline, is perhaps if everyone introduces themselves to one another on here, since we're not doing it in person. This is the first one we've had to do not in person. So it's kind of weird to do an orientation intro to not be able to see some of you guys that are new in person. But yeah, I think that would be good. I might be able to, I don't know if I can get my camera up and going with the recording going. So you guys will have to believe me that or who I am. But for those of you that do have cameras, or if you don't, if you can just pop on, I'll just call on you so you can kind of just introduce yourself and what brought you to the board, what made you interested in doing that. Since Savannah was brave, I'm going to have her go first. She's got her camera on.
Absolutely. I love talking. My name is Savannah Kyle. I am I'm in medical device design and product development. I have lived in Minneapolis for 9 years, and I am here because I love animals. Also, like being on a board has been like a bucket list item for me. So the only thing I have left on my adult bucket list is going to a gala.
So you're saying we need to plan a gala for Mac?
Gala.
Yes.
Ah!
I was thinking Minpal. We could send her to Minpal.
Oh.
I think
That's
the
okay.
Mac Gala is a great idea.
All right.
Yeah.
Make that
I'm
your
also a
board agenda.
I'm a program manager, so I can help plan things too.
Even better. I love it. Thank you, Savannah. All right, I'm going to jump to Adam.
My name is Adam Bennett. I'm a veterinarian. I have been interested in, I don't know, stalking Mac for a very long time now. I've been like probably about 11 years. I've been kind of really interested in Mac, but more actively working with Mac probably over the last 9 years, 8-9 years. What is it, Matt? I don't know. So we started out with being real. What?
11 years, 2010.
Oh, okay, 11 years. Yeah, so it's been a while, but we started out being really just kind of focusing more on with the bully breed thing, and that's how we got involved. And then I was a volunteer at Mac for a while and helped with the play group program get that up and going. And now I'm just on the board.
Thank you, Adam. I'm going to jump to Dina.
Okay, so I'm unmuted. Dina McDonald Watchkey. It was interesting, Caroline, seeing the timeline for Mac and seeing really what a short time frame we've had for the big change that's happened in the community. And I kind of giggle because Danny will tell you that, my first experience with Mac was actually with a dog named Sarge. who was desperately looking for partner placement, which is an AHS term. I'm sorry for that. I'm a stay-at-home mom for the last 20 years. I've got 3 almost adult grown children. Got involved in rescue with my daughter at AHS initially. She worked there and found myself really good at the PR aspect of it in the community. And then I really am fascinated by animal behavior. And so fast forward to seeing some social media posts about Sarge and panicking for him and getting in touch with Megan on the board as well, and starting to get my introduction to, or get my feet wet into a different aspect, right, of shelter work. And I went from thinking that Mac was doing the worst thing in the world for poor Sarge, that he was, potentially up for euthanasia, to very quickly realizing what actually an amazing thing Mac was doing for Sarge, and that it wasn't what would happen down south, which is where I'm from. And so I really, through Sarge and the advocacy then of Megan and the rest of the volunteers at that time, fell in love with Mac and its mission. And to see it be such a short time frame, meaning I work really hard on my own through I do fostering hundreds of animals, foster with Mac. I volunteer with Mac in the dog runs. I do play groups. My whole life really has become rescue. But like I said, my specialty is communications and PR. And I really try hard to take that passion that I now have for what Mac stands for and share that with anybody in the community. So even in the dog runs on the weekends, we get the craziest people that come by there. And if they want to talk, if they want to talk about the dogs that we're working with, I 100% will sit and chit chat with them, because every connection that we make at MAC is one better step for the welfare of the animals in our community, right? It's that trust factor. It's breaking down barriers. And so I know this is a long answer, but I am completely converted. Danny, when she originally reached out to me to ask about volunteering, she said, I have to admit, I know there was this comment you made out there years ago about Sarge. And I said, sent her this big, huge paragraph times 10. I'm like, no. I'm all about Mac now. Like, my whole world is like promoting Mac, because I think the mission, the organization, the people that are in that building every day. My husband is now a dog walker, and he is, Danny's not going to get rid of him ever. So the whole family has been converted, and I am so proud to put that t-shirt on and be recognized as part of this organization. And now that I'm able to be a part of the board and hopefully just continue to support the efforts that are ongoing, because I think we are doing People Magazine type changes in rescue, and I love being a part of it. So thank you.
Thank you, Dina. All right, I'm going to jump to Matt.
Hi, everybody. My name is Matt Kondrachek. I've been on the advisory board since 2015. I was the chair or president, or whatever we were calling it then, for the first term I was on. I've been involved with MAC since I think Adam was just a little ahead of me. I think it was 2011 was when we started to kind of pressure the old guard to make some changes. It was kind of a mess back then. And I think we've seen significant improvement ever since. Adam and I were in a group called CMAC, which is basically now Adam and I that are left in it. But we were part of the group that pressured the city to allow the bully breeds to be adopted, and kind of pressured city council, and ushered in the era of Caroline and Company, which has been fantastic. And so really happy to be back on the board again for this term and see some new faces. It's probably good to get some turnover, of course, but you haven't gotten rid of me yet. So that's about all I got for now, I think.
Thanks, Matt. Let's jump to Bridget.
Hi, I'm Bridget. I'm really bad at like this kind of thing. So, let's all say a little something about ourselves always makes me a little nervous.
No worries. I hate it too. I'm sorry. We got to do it.
I have a dog barking. I grew up in rural Wisconsin, and I have been working with animals my whole life. Large animals, cows, horses, dogs, cats. Moved to the city. I've been a hairdresser for 17 years. A few years ago, I decided I didn't really love what I was doing anymore. So I decided to start school to, become a vet tech. Halfway through that program, I did some working interviews, realized that that wasn't my environment. I would never make enough money to pay the bills. So I thought, how else can I pay my bills and feel like I'm making a contribution to our city's animal community? And I was talking to a client of mine who works with MinSnap, and she said, have you ever thought about being on a board of something? So I applied to be on the board, and now I'm here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bridget. And I think our last person is Miss Heather.
Muted.
Thank you. It's like being at work. My name is Heather Ellis, and I am a 25 plus year resident of Minneapolis. I have been involved with MAC for over 15 years through the rescue community, and have been on the board for, I want to say 5 years, could be 4. I don't know. Time flies when you're having fun. I am a technical product owner at Sleep Number, and yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Heather. And yeah, I don't think I'm missing anyone else if I did speak up. Otherwise, Caroline did obviously introduce herself. She gave me a little hand up. Yes, Caroline.
You go first, Danny. I just want to say something at the end.
Okay, so I was just gonna throw maybe a little bit more in for me. Again, like Caroline mentioned, I am currently the animal shelter supervisor, but that's as of 3 weeks ago. So prior to that, I was the volunteer and community engagement coordinator for MAC. Prior to that, worked as an animal control officer at MAC, and as Caroline mentioned, have also done work at a vet clinic as a technician, and worked at another humane society for 4 years. Worked at a boarding kennel. So a lot of extensive, all my professional life has been working with animals. So I always love working with our volunteers, and then our board, who is another set of volunteers that we get to work with and help us really do things. So at least for now, I will for sure still be one of the staff support people for this board. So excited to have old faces back and new faces on. And what did you want to add there, Caroline?
Well, I just wanted to say that I am also I'm just humbled, honestly, by a lot of the kind words that some of you have said. And I'm humbled by the talent that is on this board, and you giving of your time to us. I will say even to me. I'm an interesting leader from a very different background than what other leaders of MAC have had, because I actually have animal control is really all I know. And I have an incredible deep passion for the work that these people do. And now I'm older now, so I don't do the physical work anymore. My body won't allow it, but I'm hopefully can pass on this passion to my younger staff that will one day be the future leaders of MAC. Danny is one of those people, and grow a strong team. And I do that with people like you, like the board, that give us their time, their expertise, their advice. But I just wanted to thank you and let you know how humble I am and honored I am that you are on this board. And I hope that we can create some great things together. So I just wanted to add that, Danny.
Thank you very much. All right, I think our next on the agenda is the review of old business from last term. Did you want me to pull that up, Caroline?
Yes, please.
Okay, I will share my screen here in just a moment, but all of you should have gotten an email that includes this information as well, so you can see it on your own screen. But this is the review that came from Best Friends Animal Society earlier this year.
Are you waiting for me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. All right. So this was a very comprehensive review that she looked at our field practices. She looked at our shelter practices, our veterinarian practices. She had took all of our SOPs, really tried to look at everything. And the goal was to look at it through life saving and whether or not we were leveraging everything we had to save as many lives as we could. I'm super proud of this because we have come a long way. Even in the last just 2 years, it's just amazing how far we've come. COVID has had a lot of silver linings for MAC, some not so silver linings as well. And I know it's been hard on our community, but it has taught us so much about animal sheltering and humane enforcement of laws and what that means. How you combine those, like for example, managed intake. Why do we bring healthy adoptable stray animals into the shelter? They don't need to be there. So we created a found a foster program where if you find a stray pet and you're willing, you can become an instant. I mean, you have to sign a little thing saying that you'll, call us with the information of the owner and stuff like that. But you can become a foster home for us instantly and house that animal for 5 days. And what that does for MAC and for the city is, one, it saves us a ton of money, right? Resources, because for 5 days we're required to hold them. We can put that animal on our website as though it's in our custody care, but it's in a foster home. At the end of 5, so anybody can see it. So if a family member's looking for their pet, they can look on our website and go, oh, my Mac has my pet. It's in a foster care. It never left its community. So it gives it a 90% chance of finding its owner if it never leaves its community. Also, at the end of 5 days, the person who fostered it, if we don't find an owner, we will bring it to the shelter, provide all its vaccinations, sterilize it, just like we would any other dog. And they have first right of refusal. If they decide this, hey, this is really a nice dog, I really would like to adopt it since we couldn't find the owner, they get to adopt it for free. If not, it can go straight onto our adoption floor or transfer to a rescue partner. We now know a ton of information about the animal that we wouldn't have otherwise known. It's a win-win for everybody. And the animal has much less chance or lower chance of getting sick in the shelter because they won't spend as much time in the shelter. So that's one of the things that we learned. There's a lot of different things we learned. That's why you don't see as many animals in the shelter as you did prior to 2020, because we figured out ways to kind of keep those healthy animals out of the shelter. You may see that our stays are lasting a little longer because the animals that are in the shelter really have some issues, some of them, and I think one of the biggest success stories just happened day before yesterday. It was a dog named Monty. He's been here since March. And when Monty came into our facility, he was a handful. Right, Danny? I can't remember his full story, but he had a lot of behavioral issues. Huh?
I said, yes, ma'am, he was.
And he had a lot. I mean, this dog he may have even been declared. Was he one of the potentially declared dogs at one time?
He was declared potentially dangerous at one time for an animal
So there
to
you go,
animal
guys.
altercation.
That's that dog, and he's been all over the news the last couple of days. That dog, who was so out of control that he was declared potentially dangerous, got turned around at MAC. Would that have happened a couple of years ago? Those of you who know us probably could say no, because we didn't have the resources. But because we're doing managed intake, we have more time to spend with the animals that really do need our help. So it really is just a win. It just is an incredible thing. So those are some of the things that we're doing that have changed in the last few years that are allowing us to have a higher save rate, animals that would have been euthanized. And this just goes into telling the story of MAC and where we're at. And what was really interesting is that one of the, I'm not going to go through this whole thing. You'll have to read this. It's really long. But one of the things that I was really proud of is they basically said MAC is poised to be the top municipal animal shelter in the country. But we're lacking one thing: staff. It all comes down to staff. So read through this, and we can bring this further up on some of our later meetings, but do please read through it. Did anybody have a chance to look at it beforehand? Probably not, because I got it out late.
You're probably not. It literally went out a few minutes before.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. And then just so you know, in 2022, I've identified, there's 3 main goals that MAC has. I'm not going to show you my screen, but the number 1 goal that we have is quality of care for all animals housed at our shelter. Number 2 is support the health and well-being of the community as it relates to animal diseases. And number 3, protect the community by ensuring the care, control, and protection of animals. And what that means, we measure that, like goal number 1, by the fact that we have 90% of the animals or more leaving the shelter alive, that we are able to vaccinate animals on intake. We want, one of our metrics that we're using for 2022 is that 100% of the animals, and I'm not talking about vaccines and initial exams, but 100% of the animals have a treatment plan within 24 hours of entering the shelter. That means that the veterinarians and the behavioral staff have developed a plan of how this animal is going to be rehabilitated in the shelter. Heather, did you have your hand up?
Yes, she does.
Yes, I do. So my question is, and it can wait until you're finished, is just about how this great survey from the Best Friends Animal Society is being shared both with the community and with the government.
It's been shared with it's been shared. Our executive director we've been in this weird transition with Kim leaving and stuff, but Saray has it. It came in around the time when she took over as an interim. And so she, I believe, has shared it with City Council, and I don't know that it's gone public with it yet. So you guys are really getting it. I guess it has now, but yeah. So it does need to go out more, but it has been shared with City Council, and I think they've taken notice because there's some things happening that are I can't talk about, but that are really exciting. So we want to know that 90% of the animals leave the shelter alive. As I said earlier, we are committed to life saving here at MAC. We want to know that 100% of the animals are vaccinated. If you notice, everything's about life saving, because if we don't vaccinate, bad things happen. And 100% of the animals have a treatment plan. And one of the things that's changing and is continuing to grow and get better, we're getting better at, is looking at behavioral issues as mental health issues and getting the vets involved in that, so the animals we're meeting all their needs, not just their 3 squares a day and a warm bed and some exercise. That we're really trying to meet their mental health needs and their behavioral needs and their training needs, so that they can go on to become good citizens. And of course, we want to support the health and well-being of our community, and it pertains to animal disease. We want to know that we want to increase the clinics that we're giving to the community. We want to be able to actually go out into the community, and instead of you having to come to us, can we come to you to do clinics with the different neighborhood groups? So we have a lot of neat ideas that we're working through, and how to make those happen. One of the biggest issues that MAC deals with is animal bites. Usually, a big majority of them are animals that are running loose and somebody gets bit. And that is such a tragic thing because it's so preventable. Most of the time it's because some owner, took them to the park and cut them loose because they needed some exercise, and their dog's never bitten anybody before whatever reason. This guy got bit, and now, the owner's getting fined. The dog's, being impounded and could get euthanized. We're now the bad guy, and, the guy who's bitten the trauma, there's just, everybody suffers, right? So one of the things we want to see happen is decrease those numbers of animal bites. And I think one of the proactive ways of doing that is doing proactive patrolling and really enforcing leashing laws. When I enforce a leashing law as an officer, I am preventing so many bad things from happening. I'm really doing you a favor. And we've proved that in 2020, because by April of 2020, we shut everything down because we needed to protect our people. And everybody was panicking, right, over COVID. And we weren't doing any of these patrols. And our bites increased by, I believe, and Nick can correct me, but I believe it was 450% in April of 2020.
I think that's a little high.
I'm not sure.
It was like 140%, something like that.
No, it was crazy. Nick, are you still here?
No, he had to leave.
Anyway, so some crazy amount. And I ended up doing news interviews, and we were like, you know what, people, you need to get your dogs up. I'm going to cut these officers loose, because they literally were driving the officers crazy because we weren't letting them go out and do this. And we sent the officers out to do these directed patrols, and we cut it by 50% in 1 week, the bite level. So that tells you that it can do something. So that's something that we're going to work on in 2022, is to try to get more proactive, just not reacting to a call, but just being out there in the community and dealing with these problems before they become a real problem. Goal 3 is protect the community by ensuring care, control, and protection of animals. And that's our third goal for 2022. And this is really our overarching goal all forever, right? This is what we do. But we want to see how we can intertwine the animal safety net with this part of our goal by lowering or decreasing the lower level animal welfare crimes, like rabies tickets and licensing fines, and all these things where people get caught up in the system because of resources. Like, I can't afford to take my dog and get I don't even know what is it, rabies shot, $60 now, with the exam, when we can offer it for 10 or even free maybe on some days. So how can we help people be compliant that otherwise are really good owners, so that they don't get in trouble with these low-level ordinance violations? So I just wanted to share those goals with you, because I think you guys are going to be a big part in helping us to create metrics and create programs so that we can meet these goals for the community. Danny?
Yes, I think you kind of summed up number 5, our discussion about old business, and kind of put in some of the new business.
Sorry.
No, that's good. Pieces. I was just going to ask you if there's anything else you wanted to share, or if you wanted what we wanted to chat about in regards to the new business type items or things that we are looking for, which you already kind of started to do from the board in this term.
Yeah, I think that's it. And I do, one of the things that and I think Adam and Matt and Heather and probably Megan can help you with, is I want you to have autonomy on this board. I want the board to tell me what they want to work on, and how I can serve you as well. It's not always about what I want. What is it that the board wants? So that's something that I don't know how did they, last time we actually asked them for the evaluation, didn't we, Danny? Matt?
Yeah,
Adam?
we did. I mean, I feel like it came about a little bit organically as well, though.
We had kind of discussed it, but you were the ones that actually put it together. It was one of those things where we talked about doing an assessment, but it was you that put it together.
Well, you guys got me straight, that's for sure. So, and like I said before, to my new guys on the board, this board was really instrumental. I'm so proud of the work they did, and it was a lot of work, and that's why there's so many empty seats. It was a high burnout. I mean, they worked that hard, but it really did. I hope the people that didn't come back understand what they left behind, and they left quite a legacy that I think this city will never turn back from. So, and it's because of this last board we had. I'm so proud of you guys. That's all I have tonight, unless I think you do have to elect, Danny, don't they have to elect a president?
Yes, we will eventually get to nominating a chair as well as a secretary for the board, which does not have to happen this evening. The only other last piece on the agenda for this evening was talking about the typical board meeting schedule. So we do quarterly meetings. Usually we do them in December. So the next one would normally be a December. We usually start the board off in a September. But December, March, June, September is our kind of our quarterly meetings, and it's usually the second Monday evening of the month. We're obviously very off being in a totally different month and a totally different day of the week, but and we usually do them in the evenings like this. It is not, that can be adjusted and changed. So I don't know kind of how we want to move forward with how we proceed with that. And Caroline, I don't know if you have some input on this, with you going to be out for part of the end of the year here.
Yeah, so I will be out for around 8 weeks, having some surgery done at the end of November. And Danny will act us, Danny will be, I'm sorry to tell you this, Danny will be acting on my behalf at these board meetings. She just found that out, by the way. She's been voluntold. And I think you guys should proceed, December 2nd or whenever you plan to have. I don't think things should stop because I'm not here. So if things have to stop because I'm not here, then I didn't do my job properly. Danny is certainly capable, and John and Tony as well. We all, as a leadership team at MAC, we move forward together and we all have the same goals and missions. So any of them can sit with the board, and they can move things forward on my behalf. So does that answer that, Danny?
Kind of, yes. So looking at the calendar,
I love Danny.
I'm actually maybe leaning towards more of doing something in November, actually, maybe just before you leave, so we can get everyone back together and kind of reconvene. And it doesn't have to be one of our regular meetings. It can be a non-quarterly one. And we don't have to decide anything this evening either. If anyone has anything they want to pipe up about it, that's great. I'll take some feedback. Otherwise, I think what I'll do is maybe put out something on the side, little survey or feeler for what everyone thinks in regards to moving forward. So we can reconvene in regards to what you guys want to work on and what you think we need to do, and coming up with our regular meeting schedule. Matt, did you want to add something?
I just wanted to real quick. We are going to go. Are we planning on going back to Mondays, or are we going to do it on Thursdays? Because I actually scheduled a trip to North Carolina to hang out with Adam on December 2nd. So I heard that date get thrown out, and I will be on an airplane. So
yeah. No, you're all good. No, that's a brand.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a random third. No, normally we would do the second Monday of the month in December. However, that Monday is not going to work for me. So we'll have to come back together, I think, and chat about it. That's just what we usually do, guys, for those of you that have not been on the board before. But I will put out a little survey here so we can figure out what day of the week, if that works best, and for everybody, and kind of which more regular one for the quarterly meetings. And again, like Caroline mentioned, there'll be other ones that get called for other stuff. At some point, we hope to get back to an in-person, although virtual is kind of nice in some ways. But an in-person one's always nice too, especially when we haven't met some of you guys in person. But that's kind of dependent on everything obviously going on with COVID. Does anyone have any other questions? Because we've completed all the items in the agenda for this evening. Like I said, I will send out a survey and a follow-up. But yeah, are there any other matters or any other questions before we adjourn?
I just wanted to congratulate you on your new position, Danny. I think you're going to do a great job, and you've done such a great job in all of your other positions. So we're happy for you.
Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it.
And also, you're going to kind of making it a little bit difficult. Like, how are we supposed to figure out things that we're supposed to improve with Mac? Like, I'm having trouble right now, so I'm gonna have to think about this. I'm sure there's something, but you're really making it hard. I mean, that throwing that data at us, that was the probably the worst part that you guys were at. And that wasn't even that bad. So,
That was pretty amazing, wasn't it?
yeah, I'm.
By the way,
glad we
don't
got that done.
congratulate Danny. Congratulate me. I'm the lucky one.
Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Savannah says she's got so many ideas. Love it. We love
I know, that
new,
is-
new ideas.
That is good. And I, we, like I said, the only thing that's limiting us right now is literally staff. We're drowning at MAC a little bit. But I do know that we have tremendous support on city council. We have tremendous support on our leadership. The mayor supports what we're doing. MAC is being recognized by the community outreach work that they're doing in the community building, the relationships that we're building with our community. And I mean, we've done some work here, and we've faced our demons, and we will continue to. We have more, I'm sure. We just haven't found them yet, but we will continue to face our demons, and we will continue to deal with our issues that we have at MAC, and be open and transparent with each one of you. And hopefully you will do the same for me. And Adam can testify to the fact that you can tell me stuff I don't like to hear, and I'll take it begrudgingly sometimes, but then I think about it and I'll make the appropriate changes that are necessary.
Yes, I can.
And I'll do whatever it takes to benefit. I really care about MAC. My team really cares about MAC. We care about our mission, and we're serious. This is no joke. And we will do whatever it takes to succeed, as long as it doesn't breach our integrity. That's the key thing. Anyways, so I don't have anything else. If anybody don't they have to adjourn their meeting, Danny?
They can move to adjourn, yes.
Or they can keep chatting. It's up to you.
I move to adjourn.
I will second.
Thank you, guys. So without objection, we are declaring this meeting adjourned. Again, our next meeting is to be determined, but thank you for coming, everyone. It was great to somewhat kind of meet our new members, for those of you that we haven't met in person. Thank you so much for being part of this. And like I said, we will reach back out with figuring out some of our future dates and next meeting steps. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
As
you.
always, Danny.
Thanks, everybody.